Hey everyone, welcome back to Observe and the first video of what is going to be, hopefully, a very good year. Now, as many of you know, the eyes are an excellent tell to a good many things. It could be something like pupillometry, which is the study of the size and movement of the pupils, or it can be memory directional cues, which is the study of the movement of a person's gaze whilst recalling certain memories in order to discern more about those memories, whether it's auditory, visual, sensory, fake, etc. However, today, the concept that we're going to be covering is a little bit different from those two, and it's something that I like to call the Emotive Gaze Index. It's also known as the geography of the face. These are two fairly complex sounding terms for a fairly simplistic concept. Basically, people will either consciously or subconsciously look at certain regions of a person's face and or body in order to evoke certain emotions from that person. And we're going to see how that works here. Have you ever been talking to someone and you have a certain feeling just by the way that they're looking at you, whether it's like your boss making you feel small and overpowered, or it's that attractive person at the bar that's making it seem like Netflix and chill just might be on the menu for the night. And all of this only from how they are looking at you. This communicative phenomenon is due largely to the Emotive Gaze Index. We are going to break it up into three main groups that will be social, intimate, and then we'll spend some time on the power gaze. So first up is going to be the social gaze. Now this one is the one that is used most of the time by most people in your average everyday situation. And during this gesture, a person's eyes will remain in that triangle, that area there. 90% of the time, it conveys neutrality. So if you're wanting to disarm a situation or keep a situation on the low, so to speak, make it to where it doesn't have any tension in any direction, just to keep it easy going, this is where you should be looking. And in the reverse of that, if somebody is looking at you in that same way, then you know that that is how they are intending to keep that conversation, whether they know it or not. Next up is the intimate gaze. As the name implies, the intimate gaze is used only in circumstances and situations that possible attraction is present. Now, this is the only gaze that wanders from the region of the face to the rest of the body. When approaching somebody, a person will run their gaze over the entire person 2 times. The first time is to determine the gender of that person that is approaching, and the second time is to gauge their attractiveness. While at a further distance, the eyes are able to cover more geography of the other person's body. However, when it's closer, it usually lies somewhere from the eyes to the middle of the chest. Now, while both men and women do this, men get caught at it far more often, even though women will do it just as much as men. And the reason for that is that women have a very, very good peripheral vision, while men have something known as tunnel vision. So in order for a man to do this gaze gesture, he literally has to look down, and then up, and then back down, and then back up. And it's very, very, very obvious. And so men are often criticized as ogling or checking a girl out, when in realistic terms, women do it just as much. It's just that their ability to do so out of the corner of their eyes, so to speak, using their peripheral vision, is much better. So they can look directly at a person's eyes and see the rest of their body just fine. This makes them able to do this gesture discreetly. Now, in regards to using this gauge for communication, you can purposely give the elevator eyes to a person once to see if they catch on. If it is reciprocated towards you from them, then there's a possibility that both of you might be attracted to each other. However, if it's not reciprocated, you can do it maybe one more time after that, but don't do this gaze too much, because then you come across as extremely creepy and weird, as I'm sure a lot of ladies watching this can very, very much attest to the weird, creepy guy at the bar or coffee shop or anywhere that you're at doing this the whole time. It is weird, guys. Stop. Finally, we're going to go ahead and talk about the power gaze. Now, the power gaze comes in handy in a few different situations. Actually, it comes in handy in a lot of different situations. And what I mean by that is, say your boss is berating you for something at work, and you want to be able to feel more strong and convey to them that you are more strong and in control of the situation. This is when you would use this gaze. Or another time would be if like a coworker on an equal level as you is trying to act overpowering to you or take charge of a situation unwantedly, then this is a gaze that you can use as well. Basically, any time that somebody is challenging you and you want to feel more strong in the situation, this gaze is for you. Now, during this gaze, a person's eyes will rest in this region of the face. And you can do this in several different tiers. The first tier is just going to be keeping your gaze in this area right in here, as you can see on this diagram. This will convey undertones of power from you and confidence from you. Now, if the situation escalates, for instance, you can up your ante, so to speak, and you could reduce the amount of times that you blink so it turns more into a stare rather than a gaze. Now, this is unsettling for just about anybody because nobody's comfortable being stared at, especially in this region, because it looks like a challenge. And then finally, if the situation has escalated far out of control and you really want to be able to do something about it, narrow your eyes slightly at them. This gives a very unsettling feeling to the conversation and can oftentimes switch that feeling of authority. But that is the Emotive Gaze Index. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you find it useful both in your study, if you're studying this thing, or in just your everyday life. If you did like the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit subscribe if you want to see more. That means a lot to me, and it's always good for me to see the support. Speaking of support, if you want to be able to support me personally, financially, if you want to hop over to my Patreon, the link is in the description, and donate any amount of money, that would be hugely helpful for me. And I am going to start working on adding some benefits to people who actually do support me in that way. You don't need to, and I'm not expecting you to, but I really, really would appreciate it. But, without further ado, that is all that I've got for the day. My name is Logan, and you have been oh so awesome, as you always are. And I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.